The Somali road was quiet as the Kenyan convoy rolled forward under the hot afternoon sun. Corporal Kibet sat in the lead vehicle, scanning the empty landscape. The silence felt unnatural. The villages were still, the fields abandoned, and even the wind carried a strange heaviness. Something in the air warned of danger long before it appeared. Without warning, a massive explosion tore through the third truck in the convoy. A hidden landmine erupted beneath it, lifting metal and fire into the air. The ground shook violently, and a wave of heat and dust swept over the soldiers. Flames consumed the wreckage as smoke spiraled into the sky. Gunfire exploded from every direction. Armed attackers emerged from the bushes, firing rapidly toward the convoy. Bullets struck the trucks and tore through the dry earth. The soldiers scrambled for cover, returning fire as the ambush tightened around them. Dust and smoke mixed into a choking cloud as injured men called for help. Kibet moved through the chaos, pulling wounded soldiers away from burning debris. The cries of the injured filled the battlefield. Cheruiyot, one of the soldiers torn apart by shrapnel, struggled to crawl through the dust before collapsing. Kibet dragged him to safety, shielding him from incoming fire. The attackers closed in, moving through the bushes in large numbers. Their assault grew heavier, forcing the surviving soldiers to fight with dwindling ammunition. The heat from the burning vehicle, the ringing of gunshots, and the smell of smoke created a suffocating storm around them. They fought to hold their ground, determined not to be overwhelmed. As the ambushers pushed closer, a distant thumping sound began to echo across the landscape. At first it was faint, almost swallowed by the battle. Then it grew louder, cutting through the gunfire. A helicopter appeared over the ridge, followed by another, both flying low toward the ambush site. The battlefield shifted instantly. The helicopters descended with force, unleashing bombs and heavy fire on the attackers' positions. Explosions tore through the bushes where the gunmen hid. Shockwaves rolled across the ground as the bombs struck, sending sand and debris into the air. The attackers panicked, scattering in every direction, but the air assault was overwhelming. One blast after another shattered the ambush, breaking the enemy lines and ending their advance. In minutes, the gunfire faded. The smoke thickened over the destroyed enemy positions. The ground burned in scattered patches where bombs had landed. What had been a desperate fight turned into a silent and broken battlefield. The surviving soldiers slowly rose from cover, breathing heavily, their uniforms coated in dust and blood. The dead lay still beside the burned truck, their sacrifice marking the cost of survival. Medics from the helicopters rushed in, treating the wounded and stabilizing those barely clinging to life. Cheruiyot, pale from blood loss, was lifted onto a stretcher and carried toward safety. Kibet stood silently as the smoke drifted upward. The weight of the moment settled on him, the fear they had endured, the courage that had kept them fighting, and the price they had paid. The convoy had been torn apart, yet the survivors remained standing. The attackers had been defeated, not just by firepower, but by the strength and resilience of soldiers who refused to surrender even when the odds were crushing. As the wounded were loaded into the helicopters and the surviving soldiers prepared to withdraw, the battlefield slowly grew quiet again. Only the wind moved across the scorched earth, carrying with it the memory of what had happened. And as you listen to this story now, let it serve as a reminder of the bravery, the sacrifice, and the unbreakable spirit of the soldiers who fought that day. Their courage deserves to be remembered, honored, and shared. If this story moved you, if you felt the weight of their struggle and their victory, then please kindly subscribe to this channel. Your support helps keep these powerful stories alive. and honors the heroes who risk everything so others can live. Thank you for listening.